Guys, welcome to episode 15 of the Clean Bulk series, and today I'm going to show you the most anabolic bedtime snack that there is. I've been doing this for quite a few months now, and it actually tastes delicious. You'd be surprised that it's actually made with cottage cheese. I like using the fat-free cottage cheese, so I'm going to show you how I make this. So basically what I do is I start off with the blender on the scale, and I zero it out, so I put the scale on. I always like to start with some type of like fruit. Frozen fruit works because I find it lasts longer. So I normally just get like a berry blend. I find that normally tastes pretty good. I switch it up every now and then as well. So I normally weigh up about 80, 140 grams. So I'll do about 100 grams. So there's the fruit portion. Then what I like to do is I like to take just a little splash of almond milk. This is the Costco brand. Just like really low calories. I find it tastes good. It makes it the texture that I'm looking for. So I just kind of put a splash of that in. Pretty good. So the next thing I'll put in is I'm going to put in some pineapple. This is just the pineapple, fresh pineapple. It's not the frozen stuff. This I actually found out from Wesley Vissers from watching his channel, that pineapple actually contains bromelain, which is basically an enzyme that helps break down, or actually helps digest protein. So that's why this bedtime snack is actually just as good as it is because you're consuming a high amount of protein, and this pineapple helps digest it. So give it a try. Start adding a little bit more pineapple to your diet, and just kind of see how you feel. I've been feeling pretty good with the added pineapple in my diet. I find I'm digesting the protein a little bit better. So I've been sticking with it, and so give it a try. So I'm going to put some pineapple in. Normally what I like to do is 2/3 of a cup. I normally like to do just a couple. I'll include the macros for this as well, but pineapples doesn't really got too much in it. I like to put a little bit of the juice in there as well to kind of mix in. More. There you go. So then after the pineapple, honey. This is perfect for texture. I find it makes it a litit bit thicker. It makes it a little bit sweet as well. So I like to put honey in there, and 20 grams for 60 calories. So normally what I'll do is I'll zero my scale back out and just kind of keep going until it says 20. So there's 22 right there. So that should be good. So the next thing would be the protein powder. I just use a whey. This is a Cellucor brand. So I normally just put a protein powder in there as well. So 1 scoop of protein powder. And this is the ingredient, like I said before, cottage cheese, that makes this so anabolic for a bedtime snack. It's a slow digesting protein, so it keeps you catabolic keeps it anabolic instead of catabolic while you sleep. Well, that's the goal anyways. We want to try to keep the protein synthesis going and building muscle while we sleep. So this is the cottage cheese that I'm going to throw in here. I normally do a cup, but in grams it's 250 grams. I'll zero my scale back out, and I'll put 250 grams of cottage cheese. Trust me, if you don't like cottage cheese, you can't even taste it. So there's 250 grams, 251 grams. And then, so we got all the ingredients. So what I do now, just chuck her in the blender. That should be good there. Just going for texture really, as long as it's thick. I don't like it too liquidy. I like it more like a pudding. So this is basically the cottage cheese pudding that I was referring to in my prior videos. You know it's good when you lick the blender. But yeah, so here's the final product. Cottage cheese pudding. It's got a really nice, as you can see there, a really nice consistency. Yeah, and it tastes delicious. So that's the cottage cheese pudding there. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. And definitely give it a try. I'd recommend it. Alright, so guys, as you've seen, I decided to do a posing update, or a physique update. Drew in some poses there. I do a weekly check-in every week. I've actually been working with my coach, Derek McDonald. I started with him back in January when I first started the prep for my Atlantic Classic, which was my first show. And I liked his approach to training and nutrition, and just kind of being able to work with, and he's easy to communicate with as well. And he's honest, which I really, really like. So yeah, I decided to let him take control of my off season. Yeah, and it's been going good. And because of that, I think it's really, really important to have a coach, to have an experienced set of eyes on your physique. Not only does it allow somebody to have an honest look at how you actually look and be able to give you some direct feedback, but it's also good from a training and nutrition standpoint. Being able to know when to make the adjustments, I think, is the most important. And by having someone in control of that, they're able to pull the trigger a lot quickly than maybe you might be. Yeah, so I think that's been the biggest difference, is having those weekly check-ins ever since my show during my off season. And having him in control really allows me just to kind of do my thing. And it also allows unnecessary fat gain. If I didn't have him, honestly, I'd probably be more easy. It'd be easier to slip up, it'd be easier to fall off, it would be easier not to do my cardio, it would be easier not to push myself in the gym, because I'm every week I want to come in looking better, and every time I send those pictures, I really want to make sure that I've improved in some regards. It's kind of hard in the off season because you're putting on some body fat, of course, but hopefully when the body fat comes down and it comes time for my next show, which will be next year, hopefully I'll be a little bit bigger. That's the goal anyways. So I can't stress enough, like I said, the importance of actually having a coach. So yeah, if you're interested, I offer online coaching. You can check out my coaching services, but definitely find someone honest and someone that you feel like you can trust, and someone that's going to give you direct feedback, and someone who knows their stuff as well, which is definitely what you're looking for. But yeah, you can check out my website for my coaching. I offer 3-month minimum coaching. I do customized training programs, nutrition plans, weekly check-ins, all that jazz. So definitely check out my website, Mark Lewis Health and Fitness. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that posing routine that I threw in here. And now I'm going to go through each one of my poses and just kind of explain a little bit about my strengths and weaknesses and how I feel I can improve and where I look good. Alright, so the first pose that I did was the front double bicep. This is normally the first mandatory pose in a pre-judging bodybuilding contest, along with the men's classic physique contest. And I compete in the men's classic physique, so you're not going to see all your traditional bodybuilding poses. But yeah, so this one here, I feel like this pose is just getting better and better for me. I struggled with it originally. I just found that I wasn't able to get that V taper that I was looking for, and I was having a hard time making my legs pop. But yeah, ever since I've been incorporating more more width focused on my back training, just to kind of bring up my lats and stuff. I've been noticing that it's been improving the width of my lats. It's improving my my V taper, I guess you would say, along with making my waist appear a little bit smaller. So I'm really happy with the back training. I'm kind of noticing the difference with my lats. I'm looking a little bit wider at the top and a little bit skinnier in the waist there. So I'm liking that. Also the leg training, I feel like that's been my quads have been definitely improving, even though I want my hamstrings to improve. But I'll get to that. But my quads have definitely been improving with my leg training. I've been doing, as you've seen in the previous video with my leg training, I did a leg extension variation where you focus on the upper quads by pointing your toes out during the leg extension. So you can check that out in the previous leg video that I did. But I find that that's been paying off, and it's been giving me a little bit more detail in the upper quad. So I can't wait to really shred down and really notice hopefully notice some really big improvements in my legs. But I've been trying to make sure that I keep them as tight as possible. I think that's the biggest thing with these poses, is just to work from the top or the bottom up. So you really want to make sure your legs are tight and your core is tight, and then hopefully that will translate to the upper body. But I think that's the biggest thing with this. So my legs and my lat width, I feel like are really strengths with this pose for me lately. Also my bicep peak, that would be a weakness. I feel like I need to bring up the bicep peak. So in my bicep training, I've been kind of including exercises that more focus on the peak, like high cable curls, drag curls, concentration curls, those kind of things. I feel like I've been including more variations of that in my bicep training. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring up the bicep peak. And of course my core. I've been mentioning this in prior videos. Ever since the start of this series, I've been wanting to bring up my core. I really want to practice the vacuum. It's Chris Bumstad who does the vacuum really well, and I wish I could do it as well as he could. But it takes a lot of practice. I haven't really practiced it, and I'm definitely going to practice it. I want to be able to do it for my next show, or at least do some variation of the vacuum. Yeah, I feel like just keeping my core tight during this pose and any pose is just a struggle for me. So I really need to work on the core. And like I mentioned, my bicep peak, I'd like to bring that up as well. But overall, I think this pose is getting better, and I'm really happy with the progression that I've been making in this pose. So the next pose was the side chest. I know I'm not showing the transitions in between the poses. I'm still kind of sloppy with that. I would like to improve. I can't stress the importance of actually how important the transitions are. It just kind of makes your bodybuilding routine look a little bit fluid, and it makes everything look smooth. So I would definitely highly recommend really focusing on thinking about how you're going to transition from each pose. In the pre-judging, it's more literally just about them calling out a pose and you doing it. So the transitions, I can't say they're not important, but they're not nearly as important as you're actually like 1 minute to 45-second routine that you have. So definitely work on your transitions. But yeah, going back to this pose has always been, I thought it was kind of a strength of mine, but lately I've been thinking that I've been struggling with it. I haven't been really improving the way that I wish I could on this pose. So I'm going to start off with my strengths. I feel like my delts have always been a strong point. Shoulders. Right now I don't do any type of pressing movement for shoulders. I just do side delts and rear delts. I want to bring up those. But I find the striations in my shoulders, even when I get really lean, or even when I'm not really lean, but when I do get really lean, you really start to notice them. So I think the strong point is my shoulders, and I find that they really come out in this pose. So I like to look at my shoulders for this pose. I'd say the next strong point would be my legs. My quads specifically, I feel like they, when I get lean, you really notice them, and I have enough size on my legs compared to some people that I find that they're over dominant sometimes, so I need to really bring up the rest of my physique to match my legs. But yeah, having size in your quads are definitely not a bad thing. So I just think I need to be a little bit more proportionate with my training. So yeah, that kind of goes back to my next, my weaknesses. Other than the pose itself, I find that I have a struggle hitting the pose and keeping everything tight. I just need to stand up straight a little bit, and I need to make sure to really suck in my core and kind of keep everything tight from the ground up. So I think that a weakness here would be my hamstrings. I just think that my glutes, or not my glutes, sorry, but my quads overpower my hamstrings, going back to proportions, and I really need to try to focus on bringing up them to really match my physique and even everything out. Yeah, and with that being said, I would say just the pose in general, just trying to stand up straight. And you can never have too much upper chest. That's definitely a weakness of mine. It's been coming in a lot better ever since I started doing the incline press first in my routine. I would normally do an incline press over the flat bench, just to kind of make sure that I prioritize the upper chest. But yeah, you can definitely never have enough upper chest. So I think the upper chest and my hamstrings would be my weaknesses for this pose, and then just practicing the pose in general, really making sure I nail it. Alright, so the next pose is actually not a mandatory pose in men's classic physique, but I still like to do it. I feel like you have to find poses that really complement your body type, and especially with being in the classic physique, I feel like this one is definitely a classic pose, and it really makes you look, it really gives you a nice look, and I find that it really complements my physique. So that's kind of why I do the side tricep. I've been practicing it. But yeah, so with this pose here, I feel like my strong points, like I said before, are my delts, the striations of my delts when I get lean. I find that they really show. But I think that I have some pretty good triceps as well, like for thickness. So I think that the majority of my arm size, well, the majority of your arm size in general comes from your triceps. But I think that particularly for me, my triceps are much more developed than my biceps. So I think that this pose really shows them off. So that would be a strength. And I think that another strength would happen to be my legs. Particularly my quads. I think that going back to the side chest, it's a similar style pose with this. So I feel like because the legs are the strength in the other pose, I like doing this pose to show off the quads as well. And it's an easy transition from the side chest, which is also a nice. And the hamstrings would be a weakness. Like I said in the previous pose, I think the hamstrings, they're not proportionate to my quads. I need to bring them up big time. So I just need to get a little bit more size and a little bit more definition and separation from my quads. And then the next weakness I would say would have to be my core. I just really want to get, I really want to be able to get lean and get those abs popping and really show off a really nice detailed core. So I've been working hard in the gym to do that, ab training and core training, and just once you get lean enough, you're going to see your abs anyways, but I really want to make them pop. I just think it's core control, being able to suck in and being able to control your core during the poses, which I struggle with. So in this pose especially, I definitely want to improve that. Yeah, so those are my strengths and weaknesses for this pose. So the next pose would be the back double bicep pose. This pose has always been probably my strongest pose out of all of them. I just feel like my back has developed the best. I just have good back genetics, I feel, for these. It just developed quickly, and I've noticed that the thickness didn't really take as long to get as it bringing up the rest of my body. Yeah, so my back here, I feel like definitely need to work on the width, but I'm going to go over my strengths first. I feel like I just have a good proportionate sized back. You really notice the detail in the upper back, and you notice the separation from the traps as well. So I think that that's a strong point. And I just think, like I said, my overall back development thickness is definitely a strong point. The way that I hit the pose, I feel like it just comes easier than the rest of the poses. And in terms of my weaknesses for this pose, I really want to bring up that back width. I want to really get that Christmas tree on the bottom. I want to be able to get the separation from the lats and really show the good separation from my lats. So I definitely need to work on my width for this pose. But the big thing is the hamstrings. I feel like I'm trying to flex them as hard as I can. I'm trying to keep them tight, but I'm just not seeing anything as of right now. So I think I just got to keep pushing and keep prioritizing hamstrings. I really want to bring them up to really complete that back pose. But yeah, I'd say that those are my strengths and my weaknesses. Another strength I'd like to mention though is the importance of the delts in this pose. I feel like my delts are proportioned well, and when I do this pose, you really notice the front, side, and rear delts. So I'm really happy with the way that my shoulders came in. So this is definitely a strong pose for me because of the back development that I do have and the shoulder development that I have. So the next pose is actually your favorite classic pose. The idea behind this pose is basically everybody gets to kind of, they call it your favorite classic pose, and it's kind of a pose that you just want to throw in, that you think that it can be really any pose. But yeah, so for this, we kind of just stumbled on this one during a posing session that I was doing with my coach, Derek McDonald, and we just kind of found that it worked for my body type, and it kind of was an easy transition from some of the other poses. Yeah, so I kind of just threw this one in. So some of the strengths, I feel like my shoulders in this pose are really, you can really notice them, which I really like, and my legs as well is definitely another strength, just because I have decently sized legs. So yeah, those are my strengths. In terms of my weaknesses, I have a hard time keeping my core tight. that would definitely be a weakness. And I just feel like getting those legs to really pop is definitely a weakness. So keeping everything tight just in general, that's one thing that you just have to keep working on. You just have to keep practicing. Posing, people think it's easy until they try it, or it makes it seem like it's easy just by the way that it looks. But I mean, flexing can be actually harder than you think. So if you haven't tried posing, definitely give it a try. And I would definitely recommend practicing it at least once a week if you're planning on competing in the near future, just because it takes that much time to really develop. But yeah, I think it's also good about picking a pose that complements your body, and I feel like this one kind of does. I haven't really mastered it and I haven't perfected it, but I would like more flow to the pose. But I think that it does suit my body, and I really like. I think I can develop this pose into something good for me. So going back to it for my next competition, I think I definitely would, unless I could figure out another pose that looked better at the time. But I think I would definitely continue practicing this pose and just really working on it and working the transitions and just kind of finding that right flow, finding that maybe tilt my leg a little bit more, or suck in my chest a little bit, or not my chest, but my core a little bit. And yeah, I'm definitely going to play around with this pose. Alright guys, and the final pose there is the abs and thigh. This is by far my weakest pose. It's the hardest one for me to hit. It's the hardest one for me to show any type of, maybe even strengths in it. I think that if I was looking for a strength in it, I would have to say my legs. I find like just the size, like I mentioned in previous videos, I just need to bring up that definition in them a little bit, and I've been doing that in my leg training and just really focus on keeping them tight. But I think I definitely have the legs to hit this pose right. But it's hard for me to control my core. That's why I've been working on that. So I think the biggest weakness for this pose would be my core, and just showing any type of definition, showing any type of flow to it. I find it's just hard to be able to. I have a hard time sucking in. So that's why I need to practice the vacuum, because this pose would be great with the vacuum for me, I think. So that's kind of next on my to-do list, is to get that vacuum down. But yeah, this pose is a struggle for me. I struggle from it from week to week. But hopefully when I lean up a little bit and go into my second show, I hit it much better than I did in my first one, and I'm able to really perfect that vacuum. Yeah, so those are my poses, and I hope you enjoyed my analysis of it. And yeah, I think the key with posing is just to keep practicing it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be frustrating. You might not look like the way you look sometimes, but you know what? It will all pay off, and if you really stick to it, these poses eventually become easier and easier. And just learn how to control your breathing during it, and really learn how to develop that strong mind-muscle connection with your muscles to be able to flex them and to keep everything tight. Alright, so I hope everyone enjoyed that episode of the Clean Bulk series. Definitely give that cottage cheese recipe a try. I wasn't a big fan of cottage cheese either. I know most people aren't. I actually found out from mixing a bunch of things during prep when I was preparing for my show. I just kind of threw a bunch of things in the blender, and one of them was cottage cheese, just because of how much protein content there is in it, and I ended up really liking it. So yeah, definitely give that a try. It's really good to have some type of high protein, slow digesting protein like cottage cheese before you go to bed, to help you keep building muscle, and to get you through to the morning until you wake up. But yeah, so definitely give that a try. And so I have some more dates. I'm releasing a lot of great content, so I'd really appreciate if everyone could go check them out. Tomorrow I have another fitness facts dropping, so that will be available on my website. That's a free blog where I provide education, motivation, inspiring content that I'm looking to, it's all free, so I'm looking to kind of educate you guys and just kind of present some topics and just kind of have a discussion, but it's in a blog style format. So yeah, that will be released tomorrow, which is Monday, July 23rd or July 22nd. And then I have the next installment of my podcast, episode 2 of my podcast, that's coming out July 25th. So that will be released every Thursday. If you haven't checked out episode 1, I really highly encourage you to do that. Everything's available on my website. The podcast you can stream directly from SoundCloud on my website, so you can go there to check it out. It featured Wayne Miller, who was the owner of Downtown Nutrition. It was really an interesting conversation. I got a lot out of it, and I think you guys will too. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely give that a watch or a listen. And then the next episode, July 28th, which would be the Clean Bulk series again. So that's every week I'm doing a YouTube video. So yeah, look out for that as well. And definitely check out my coaching services. I offer free content, but not only do I offer free content, but I also have online coaching fitness available that you can register for. Make an investment in your fitness journey. The 3 months minimum. I provide customized training programs, customized nutrition programs, weekly check-ins, and everything that you need to really crush your goals. So if you're looking to take your training to the next level and start taking it more seriously, definitely consider my online coaching. So you can check that out on my website, marklewisfitness.ca. Yeah, so definitely like the video. It takes a lot of work to make these videos. I enjoy the process and I really enjoy making them, but it definitely takes a lot of work. Yeah, so and subscribe to my channel as well. Like I said, I got a lot of great content coming, so I'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and follow my fitness journey and get all the useful information that I put in these videos. And yeah, I hope everybody has enjoyed the video and hope everyone has a great day. All right, guys, peace out.